Hello, hello, hello. Coffee. Hello. So, I want to do a little stream. Nothing fancy. We're just gonna fix some stuff with my web build. So if people haven't been paying attention, I don't know what to say. Then I've released recently some web build Odin Raylib stuff. Where is that? Wait, we're gonna let me bring out a chat here. I should get one of those, you know, nice overlays that people have. Like instead of pulling out the YouTube chat. Like, wow. That. Yeah. So. Hello, Llama Toast. So I'm gonna show you here what I've done. Let me go to the GitHubs, as we call it. I'm gonna move this thing over here. Yeah. So. Llama Toast was just reading my book. Thank you for reading my book. If anyone else wants to read the book, I have linked it in the description of the video. My book, How Understanding the Odin Programming Language. So here is a little Git repo called Odin Raylib Web, and it has a live demo on the internet that you can run. It looks like this. It's nothing much to see. I can zoom it up a bit. It's just this thing stuck to the cursor is rendered, and then it uses Ray GUI also. So it's Raylib in Odin on the web, sort of. It's what I've done here. I did this because I made this little silly game, right, for a game jam. That's on. I can find that also, I think. Let me see. Yeah, here. I made this game during the game jam, right? No, not. Well. This is the. On the browser you can play. So I made this one, and then I wanted to make a web build for that. So I made that thing. This little game you can play here. Stuff. So there's one thing about this that I noticed, that my game is stuttering a bit, right? And then someone else also said that there was some weird performance problems, and I've actually figured out sort of why these performance problems are. I don't know if it's obvious on this one, but it's the performance is sometimes smooth and sometimes not. I'm not sure if it will fix it. My fix will fix it in this game, but it will certainly fix some other issues I see. So I have my hot reload template as well. Hello, Sebastian and Smilex, welcome. So I have this repository also, right? The hot reload template, quite popular repository because it provides hot reloading in just a little framework sort of for making games. But I added the web build to this as well, right? And then I noticed that there was some stuttering going on in Firefox, not so much in Chrome, but there was something wasn't really working correctly. Let me see if I can. Odin, what's it called? This one. So if I do build web.bat here. Then it does some stuff. So that thing, I can show you first the game running. So I go into build, and I go into web, and then I open index. Usually on most computers you would have to run a web server here to serve this because of cross origin stuff. But I disabled it for this website in particular, for this URL. Right, so now actually this is running smoothly because I've already fixed it in this one. Let me show you my Pokemons. So it's very funny. You're gonna laugh. We'll have some fun here. You're gonna laugh at why this is broken. So if I now run, no, not you, that's the desktop build. If I now run build web again, right? Oh, chat disappeared, there you are. Workflow in mind asks, did you ever try Nim? No, I haven't tried Nim, actually. Is it nice? I'm probably not gonna try it because I'm quite happy in my Odin land, but yeah, I'll put my little book ad here as usual, I think, and then we pull the chat up. I don't know if I can disable it for local files. I just have disabled it in Firefox temporarily to play with this. So actually I haven't disabled it in that file. Initially I didn't want to say that because people would be like, I'm gonna hack your browser and send you weird links, but yeah, it's disabled in Firefox globally right now. Just because I'm lazy to start the HTTP server. That's fine. That's fine. So now I've rebuilt this. So this is, some of you will not see this, some of you will see this. Let me see, I'm looking at the stream replay. So, oh wait, do I have the still the, so this is the, I can show you both actually side by side. The with and without the fix. So this is with the fix and this is without. I think many people can see a slight difference there. And if you can't, that's just me being picky with frame rates. But it's like, it's starting and stopping a bit and jittering a bit. And this one is like, ah. So the funny thing is there was a person in my Discord called Edzna or something. Edza, I don't remember, who was playing around with this and noticed that if you remove this line, because I made this template, right, so that the game update procedure, it returns a bool here, yeah, and it it runs update and draw and returns if the window should close. However, window should close does not do anything on web because your window closes when your tab closes, so you're not like doing window management in that sense. But I just assumed this procedure doesn't do anything in web. That's a fair assumption. If it works, I would just assume it doesn't do anything. But so the one that was, I closed everything, I think. But the one that was smooth there, we saw, has this line commented out and just returns currently true. False, I mean, because no, true, it should return. And then the game suddenly runs super smooth. So why is that? Well, this is the funny part. So you go, I have the Raylib source in here, so I can jump into the C code of Raylib, right? And if we press that one and go to, there's all the different definitions of it. If we go to our core web, which is top one here, then all it does is a sleep for 16 ms. There is a motivation here. Apparently this whole thing that's motivation here is old. It talks about interpreter async. This stuff is not used anymore, and they've already put in a pull request. Someone fixed this yesterday in Raylib so that this line is removed essentially, I think. But I don't have with Odin, usually we target the latest release. So even though they fixed it in in Raylib, what you can do is just not call Windows should close on your web build, right? So we're just gonna rework things here a tiny bit, so that this all works. But I think what I want to do first is actually try this in my Legend of Tuna game to see if that is the fix for the stuttering, because it's, yeah. So let's try that. I need to clone that repository because I think I removed it. right? So we go here. It can be in game prototypes. I have since yeah, Sebastian said this. What reason straight to it. I think so. The reason it is like this is the old code used to so you can run your web build in two modes, right? Either you run your while loop and it's just processing, and then you must, since the web browser needs to get back control every now and then, you do some kind of sleep to yield to the web browser so it can do its stuff. At least that's how there's some info on this link here, but I can paste that one. This link talks about some interesting stuff about this. But anyways, this one says that you can do, like, if you use async, I think it's called asyncify these days. So you do this stuff, and then there's a sleep, and then it will sort of return control to the web browser or something like that. I'm not exactly sure. But this is not even the recommended way to do things anymore. So what you're supposed to do is instead to do like a main, like in my case from Odin, I set mscript and set main loop, and then I tell it which procedure to run. And then like I think the web browser has a thing called request animation frame, which is just that it tries to update the canvas or something of this where you're drawing the game. So then it will run this procedure. So this one, you don't have a loop at all in your game code then, right? Because this thing is just web update here. It's just a procedure that's exported to that the C mscript and code runs. And then this one in turn just runs update and draw, and on desktop. So we can go to main release, maybe it's called. Main release just does it just does for window open, and then this thing just spins around here, and this could just be I don't know why this is this is a refactor thing. This could be a for with a break if this returns false, but whatever. So this is just here but we can fix that easily, right? But it's just interesting to know where this comes from. So in my game, I use set main loop, so then you don't need any kind of asyncify at all that yields on a sleep or anything. You just need to do this. That's all you need to do, and then remove everything else. Like, you don't need asyncify, you don't need any sleeps. So what's happening here is actually that it is already doing it in the nice way, which is using this. But then it also runs blah, 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 this window should close, which is sort of a hack that's supposed to fix it so it works with if you run your if you try to make a web build out of code that just runs a while loop and sort of checks if window should close, then it can sleep in there. But actually they've even added with asyncify inside end drawing. I heard inside end drawing in the C code. Apparently, I haven't been able to 100% verify this, but I think with asyncify they sleep somewhere in here, but I'm not sure exactly where. Is it here maybe? Web. No. I don't know. Some Raylib person says that. So asyncify is a hack, like Seb says. It is there so you can just take your desktop code and just like bleh, and then there's just a convenient sleep somewhere that makes the web browser not just hang. So because otherwise you would just lock your web browser, right? So, anyways. That's the different thing. So we're doing the good thing, but we're also sleeping for no reason. This has been fixed in master branch of Raylib, but I don't have that. So that's that. But let's check if this works nicely with Legend of Tuna. Git clone. Is this that? No. Let me clone my so I've in the last few days I did a full sweep of my computer where I deleted everything that was old and crusty and organized everything very neatly because I've been very disorganized for a few years. Like I had things that was years old that was just on my desktop still, so it was just total chaos. So I'm trying to have a very nice zen approach now to everything. Anyways. So we're gonna go in here. Do you like to know how I did a sweep of cleaning up my computer? Is that what you're asking? No, I just opened the first I went into desktop folder. So you go into the folder at the desktop and I look at the files and I delete every single file that's not needed, and the files that still look like they're needed there I save in a more properly named folder somewhere, and I go through every single directory of things. I just deleted lots of stuff. I also for like I had lots of Git repositories cloned, but those are on GitHub, most of them. So I just deleted almost every Git repository. That's why I had to check out Legend of Tuna now, because I had just deleted it. Because I was like, oh. Yeah, it took several hours to do. It took me like 4 hours. But it was 4 hours of taking care of years of neglect. So in that sense, it was pretty good. So this is Legend of Tuna. Yeah, I have moved my as a thing in my. I put all my Odin and OLS and mscript and stuff in my SDK dir here, because I just had too much crap in my, in the root folder here. I had like Odin, OLS, and blah blah blah. So I cleaned this up a bit also. So now it built. That's good. Let's close some stuff. Yeah, pretty cathartic. Yeah, it was. I also like. I also have the sort of, idea that if you're organizing things on your computer and you look at something and it's like, this might be related to this thing, but I'm not sure if this is just like a temp file that was put on my desktop for uploading it. If like my new approach is that if it's not already sorted into a directory and it's not obvious that I need to keep it, then it's trash. Like if it's on my desktop and it says cat and onion cute gif.gif and it's not in a sort of promotion material folder, then okay, it will just take too much time to go through all that. So that all that is delete immediately, because you need to learn to save things in the correct folder immediately if it's an important thing, because if you don't, it's gonna be impossible. It's gonna take too much time to go through all the things. So I just rather delete things, because I have all the important things in Git plus some other things that I took care with some things, but some things that I was like, no, I'm not gonna bother with this. So here's the web build of Legend of Tuna. Built, and this is without the fixes. So let's see. This is a lot of talking for removing one line of code, I know, but we're gonna do some nice stuff here. So this is not running very smoothly. We'll see if this fixes it. Yeah, it's not running very smoothly. Let me go in here. Open that and go into game. I don't remember main web entry. Game.game update. Okay, so it's this one. Okay, so let's just return false there. We're gonna fix this nicely soon. Oh, blah, blah, blah. No, true, I mean. Doesn't really matter. The web build doesn't care about this return value. Right. Let's see how this one is still a bit. Let's see. Because it might also be a fixed frame update thingy that's happening here. So it might not actually do much difference for this one, because I might be updating the physics at the wrong speed. Yeah. With mscripting, you're supposed to use the mscripting main loop function. Yeah, I think that's main web.c. Yeah, this one is what you mean. Yeah, I'm doing that. The problem was that I also was calling window should close, which sleeps for 16 ms, regardless of what you do. See, this runs a bit smooth. It's still a bit jaggy sometimes, but I think that's just due to, yeah, this does run smoother than before. But it's still sometimes a bit of jaggy frame rate, because I'm not doing a perfect work on the fixed time step stuff, but it does run nice, much nicer and smoother. That it felt like it goes a bit choppy at the start. Yeah, I'm very sensitive to these kind of laggy issues. But yeah, this is smoother, so that's good. That fixes that as well. Anyway, so let's go back and fix the. Let's fix the hot reload template first, right? Right. Too many things open. Is this the... Okay, this one. I don't know. I just have to... I'm very bad at... I just sometimes when I have too many windows open, I just close them all. My physics is in that little game is, so that's just a game jam game I made recently, but it uses box 2D. So let's see here what I'm doing for the physics. Blah 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 blah. So what I'm doing is this. So I accumulate time, the rate, how much delta time has passed, yeah, and I add that to an accumulator, and if that passes the limits of how big a step is, then I do a step, right, and then I decrease it. So I do a loop for that as many steps as should happen. So if you get a lag spike, you get several steps, and if you have a very fast frame, you get no step, then maybe you get a step the next frame. What I'm not doing here, and this is what I was a bit bad at explaining just now, what I'm not doing here is I'm not doing like a interpolate blah blah blah. So if you don't interpolate, like, because you might have some time left over in the accumulator, so you didn't have enough for a full frame, then you might get sometimes that it also feels like a bit of stuttering, because some frames it wasn't able to move at all. It depends a bit on exactly how things work. So usually you would need some kind of interpolation here, or some other interesting techniques. But yeah, but it did run smoother, so that's good. So what we're gonna do here, we're gonna have a look-see at this stuff. So we have game update here. Game update is called by, let me change the size of this. If you go to main hot reload, for example, then you have here game API.update. That runs this procedure. So maybe we need to change this whole template so that the game up, like, it's a bit silly, to be honest. Why does game update, like, I just thought it was neat when I did it, that game update returns a bool if the game should continue to run. But let's just change that. That's what we're gonna do. So this doesn't happen anymore. There's nothing returned here because this is not. And then we can fix the web build. So we're gonna put this maybe blah, 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 somewhere here, maybe here. So we add export there, and we say game. These are prefix with game just so that you can still use that name in your code, I think. I don't remember exactly why I put the game prefix on this. The at thing is a procedure attribute. It gives the procedure some extra information to, like the compiler gets some extra information about the procedure. You can also do like private equals file. Then this procedure will only be visible in here, and export means that it's exported into a DLL because this uses code hot reloading. So all this ends up in a DLL. That's why they're exported, because this is the hot reload exe that runs sort of update and init and stuff. And there's no game prefix here because that is removed when it initializes the symbols in the DLL up here. Initialize symbols, the game DLL name game underscore, so it sort of removes that prefix. Window should is that? Let's think about that name for a bit. Return not rl.window should close. So this is supposed to be used. Maybe it's easier if we open like the game main release because it's a bit smaller and less noisy. So this is supposed to be here. It's supposed to run update or maybe just like this for game dot window open or something like that. And then this thing we won't do anything at all anymore. I can remove that flag. Window open. But that's not what it is, because this closes the window. So this is window should close. That's really what it is, because it closes the window down here. This is just yeah, game is running, but the game shuts down here, so it's still running until it hits here, in a sense. So it's more like game it's just if the main loop should continue or not, if this should happen at all or not. By the way, this stuff is gonna be removed soon. That's nice. The bad free array in Odin is not needed. You don't need to check it anymore, because I made a PR that makes it a crash instead. You can still override it to the old behavior, but it will by default it will now assert on a bad free. But it hasn't been released yet, the release where that has been. Like, it's in the master branch, but it's not in the latest release. So I don't want to update that yet. And also, I'm going to put in a PR into the docs when that happens. Yeah, maybe Smilex is correct. Should close. Game should close. And then it's of course like this. For not game should close. There's always like, is it better to use a for loop and check like if game should blah blah blah, blah and then you break. But whatever. Right, and then we remove this. No. The hot reload doesn't check this yet, so that's why the hot reload just went bloop, there, main hot reload. Yeah, Odin only has a single loop, so this is while true. This is while for, yeah, this one is while window open, and then you can do like for thing in things if you want to iterate something. So all the loops have the for keyword. You put different amount of things in there. Not window game should close. For not win. Yeah, game should close. This will not work right now because I haven't updated API up here yet. So update is here, no more. And then put here should close is a proc that returns a bool. And then we get some kind of error. Oh wait, what did I type up there? Okay, didn't like that. I probably messed up a little. This double curly brace there. If not API, game API, that should close. You see, now that works nicely again. Right. Is there any comments at the top here? Something like that. No, it's not just explaining what the name is, but this is for stopping your game when close button is pressed. Smilex asks, do you need a DL open kind of function to find it? No. The reason is, so I have this game API here, right? And you saw me add it, and you saw it work. So somehow it worked. Well, I guess it worked. I think I pressed the close button. Oops, I pressed the yeah. So this thing is here, but what I'm using here in load game API is initialized symbol. So there's a you can import core dynlib, yeah. And that one has initialized symbols. And what initialized symbols does is takes a struct, like API here. So then it will look through the struct and it will use reflection to look at the name of each of these. And then it will also open a DLL that you supply, which is game DLL name here. And then it will look for procedures that have a name, for symbols that have a name that match this. And you can also tell it to look for prefixes, because all these are actually prefixed with, like, internally they're like that, right? But I just cut that off. And then lib, I don't remember what that does. What does it do? Oh, my worst enemy. I don't have any. Can't jump to symbols. Oh, there we go. Handle field name. Okay, that's just this thing here. Which of the fields inside game API, the name of it, is where you should store the core dynlib thingy. Okay, so that fixes the that. What have we done here? Yeah, we're gonna remove those imports soon. Force reload and force restart is for when you want to restart the game without restarting the exe. So it just force restart. It just asks that's bound to F6 in the game, I think. Well, force restart. Yeah, you see, this is what all these two procedures do, but they're checked inside here. They're checked like this. Force restart means that it it will, if this is a bit stupidly written, but it does all this. So it just tears down the whole game, resets everything, and boots it up again. So it's like restarting the game without closing it. And force reload just does a hot reload without any, like if that one I almost never use, because the hot reload is triggered automatically if the DLL version changes, but you can also just press F5 to make it reload the DLL without anything triggering it. Almost never using it, but yeah. So that works. Let's go to the main release. Let's build that game. Wait, build main, no, build release it's called. Does this work? I'm gonna just go through all the different variations here. Should work on the Unixes also, but I'm not gonna test that because then I had to boot up a Unixes. Release is this one is built just now, so that's the correct one. This works. Debug. Build debug. That's built just now. Also works. I can close. Yeah. So build debug. I didn't change any code there, but debug just uses the release. You know, it just uses the release executable in what's it called? Debug mode. It's just, I mean, build debug just does this. It's just like main release, but then add the debug date stuff. So you can debug your non-hot reload build. Okay, and now we go back to the web stuff. Let's see, main entry, web main entry. So web update now just does this. Yeah, this should also just work now. Oops. Build web. And this shouldn't stutter anymore. That's the wrong place. Smooth. So a thing about this, so I removed the window should close now from the web build. A thing about this is that let me show you something. Hello, Ian. Welcome. Raylib example. I had a good. I mean, this is my issue I made yesterday. It's already fixed. So this won't be much of a problem anymore if you're on master branch. But for example, this one. Can you see? This is again. It's not everyone can see this because it takes a bit of. But you can sort of see that this doesn't move completely smooth. It sort of stops and starts a bit constantly. Like look a bit nervous almost, the way it moves across. This is because all the Raylib examples are built using Asyncify, because then they can use the same code. It makes the example code better, which is a win, I guess. But all of them have this problem in Firefox currently. And I think, hopefully, I haven't tested this yet, but I think because they fixed this, they removed this sleep, that it should be fixed in Firefox. But yeah. So it wasn't just my stuff that had this. It's actually every single Raylib web build example in some web browser. I think in Safari they also didn't work that well. I mean, it's a sleep of 16 ms, which is, what does that mean on a web browser? I don't really know. Okay, is that it? Did we fix it? We're gonna fix the non-hot reload template also. Game should close, blah, blah, blah. Let me look at the README here. Update. Oh. No, okay. Yeah, I think that's that. Let me quickly look through here. Yeah, that's it. That's simple dimple. Yeah, and then I remove those because it's a bit annoying. I have this. I keep having to add in this stuff because I don't want to commit it like this, right? Because that's in my. But I want these things included in the projects. I don't know. So, hello coder G coder gr. And now we look. I'm gonna change this because this is this path. Everyone was changed anyway, so I'm just gonna commit my new path. Okay. I am fix for game for web build stuttering on some browsers due to what's it called? Window should close being called on web when it shouldn't be, or something like that. Like that. Goodie. Should be fixed now on them. Yeah. Good. I realize it's a bit silly that I pushed this change because now everyone will get a conflict with this if they have a fork, but sorry. So now we'll go to the, so that was that template. We also had the smaller one that I showed at the start of this stream. This one that doesn't do any hot reloading. It just shows the basic web stuff. So let's go into that. I can also show how it works when we look at that. Close that. Yeah, open that. So this is the basic web stuff. Let's first fix it in here. Not that stuff. Game. Update init. Oh yeah, this one doesn't do much fancy stuff. Why shouldn't this one already? Oh yeah, so this one doesn't actually have the problem at all. It was just my hot reload template that had a problem. This one doesn't check if the window should close. So it's all good. Double check that. That's why it also, I mean, it does feel nice and smooth, that one. If we go to Raylib web, it's also a bit harder to tell when you have, it lags a bit behind the mouse pointer, but that's just a 1 frame lag. But it's a bit harder to tell with when you can't like hold a button to move something at a constant speed. Yeah, I'll put a link to this in the chat if anyone wants to play around with it. So this one actually never had the problem, I think. Right. No, it doesn't, because there's no window should close check in the web build at all. Something I realize I should change also is that I've built this in a bit of a willy-nilly way where I actually run with a syncify here. I don't need to do that when you use set loop main loop. It might even be hurt your performance, I guess, since it might do weird extra things. So let's go in here and double check that it works nicely. Yeah, seems to work nicely. And does it actually, I'm always like, because I copied this from another template, I'm like, does it need that stuff? I don't know. Wow, okay, it needed something. Oh yeah, okay, so it needs the GL blah, blah, blah. Okay, does it need this stuff? I always move build tags and see flags and see if I can get away with not having them. Like the platform web, isn't that implicit when you come with the web? This seems to work. Assertions. This one is good because then it will assert, it will crash in the console if it asserts instead of, yeah. This one doesn't seem to be needed. No. See if the logging still works. There's a little print log. Yeah. So let me now just show how this. Oh yeah, before we do that, we're gonna go back to the hot reload template. We're gonna remove that asyncify there as well. Build web. This stuff and that stuff not needed, I think. Whee! So smooth. Yeah. And then we're gonna build web. This, I'm gonna fix the shell script as well. I'm actually toying with the idea of ditching all, for this project, for the hot reload tablet, ditching all my batch and shell scripts and writing a small Odin program, a build.odin. That just does, like where you say build, you run it and say release web, and then it does all the things, because I don't like having like, oh, you need Python. I'd rather have separate shell script and batch script than having a dependency on Python. But since you're running an Odin program, you could as well just have, like, since there is nothing in the root folder here anyways, since all the program files are inside source here, I could have a build.odin here. You Odin run dot, or Odin run, even if you run Odin run build.odin dash file, if you really want to, then it would build, and if there's some default maybe option, maybe that's the hot reload or the release version or something when you build, and then it just does all the stuff that the shell script does, but it does it in a way that works on all platforms. The only thing I don't like about that is I kind of like there being a script that new users can go in and sort of like, oh, I'll build the release, I double click this one, because this you can kind of see what is available to you here. If you just have it inside a build file, you must open the readme and see what are the options or something. And yeah, and then you might as well just create this batch and shell scripts again, but they're just running the Odin compiler, but then you still have them. So it's a bit like yeah, I could push the build.exe, but what about build.macintosh? and what about build.bin on Linux system with wrong glibc version that makes your computer explode? Linux and the glibc stuff is always like, nah, I'm just gonna not have a binary. It usually ruins everything. But I think yeah, I don't know. I could also do like this. You have Odin, you have a build.odin that you can run, and if you run it without any parameters, then it asks, then it is interactive. It asks, do you want to build release? Like, so first time you run it, you're like, okay, I'm gonna run Odin, the Odin build file here. You can Odin run dot in there, and then it just asks you, do you want to build release web or blah blah blah, and then it tells you can do this with command. You can just add this word after if you want to build them manually. So then you learn by just running it, because it gives an interactive version by default. And then you can put web at the end, so it does the web without asking. Maybe. I'm just talking a lot here and doing I would like to remove 3 lines of code in. How long we've been streaming? for a while. This is a precision engineering going on, and that's why it's taking such a long time. Right, so this all works. Remove asyncify. I'm pretty sure you don't need a platform web. I think that's built into the Raylib source, so I'm pretty sure you don't need that. I mean, it does work without it. I don't know. Okay. Then we go here and we just toss this out. That thing. Remove asyncify. Okay, now after all that talking, let's talk about how this web build actually works a bit. I'm gonna zoom my screen up a tiny bit, I realize. I always love doing this live. And then I have to fix everything. It's just to make the labels in Windows a bit bigger, not because to make the text bigger, because that I can do in the editor like this, but like this stuff up here. And then I'll do like this, like that. Right. Webby asks if I have looked at multiplayer development. No, I have never actually done. I'm sort of scared of multiplayer games, because if I make one and it gets popular, then I will get like death threats, because that's what happens when you make multiplayer games, right? You make like a multiplayer game and then you nerf a single thing, and then you have 1,000 angry gamers that hate you. So I'm just like, I don't. That's the main reason I never want to make a multiplayer game. I just like, no, I'm just gonna make a single player game that's like dreamy and weird or something instead, that no one can hate on. Because it doesn't, you can't nerf, like there's no value given to anything, you can't nerf anything. I don't know. So the web build, let's look at the Windows source here. The web build just runs the stuff in main web folder here with a freestanding wasm32 build. So it does essentially has no operating system support, and then it runs, and this is the architecture. So that's the WebAssembly. And that's sort of the whole game, because main web, right? Main web is this file, right? It's just the update proc is the one we looked at earlier that just runs the game update loop, but then it does also runs game init, and it does some other interesting things here. So these procedures are called, we can come back to this in a bit what they do. So this thing here is outputted into a game dot into this file here. So then it runs mscript and compiler, because Raylib requires mscript to work with on the web, because it uses OpenGL, and that needs to be sort of cross-compiled to WebGL, essentially. Well, it's not cross. What mscripting does, it's a sort of a big hack that adds in a layer underneath the code that pretends there is a libc there that's actually going into the web browser, and it also looks at like calls into OpenGL and puts in a translation layer that makes them behave like WebGL. So it does all that. It's not like, it's sort of a little, one could call it a hack, but it works quite well with C code in many cases. So Raylib relies on that. So that's why you run the emcc and you say that this is the index, this is just a little index HTML wrapper file with a canvas in it or something like that. But what this one does is that it takes our game wasm thing. This is our Odin code in here. And then it also takes a Raylib over here, right? This is the pre-compiled Raylib web lib. And then it also takes the main web.c. So this is the entry point for the sort of web program written in C. But this C file is tiny, it's just this. It just has a main loop where you can ignore this resize stuff here. That's just to make it resizable, work properly. But what it does, it just runs the init proc and then sets the main loop to run a web update, which is those two procedures. These are external here in C, but these are just these two procedures that are implemented in Odin. So this is just web init and web update. They have export on them, so they show up outside. So that's all that does to get that up and running, essentially. There are some funny things here. There's one thing here where it says raylib wasimlib equals env.o. So if you go into here, look at, what is it called? Yeah, the Raylib bindings. Here. So the Raylib bindings, though, like, it has a arch thing here for wasm and stuff, but it just said Raylib wasm lib, and that one points to this lib here. This doesn't really work if you just try to compile against the wasm32 architecture, because this thing sort of requires some scripting to work properly, right? So it's not going to work. So this is more of a hint where the lib is. So what you do is you take this file and you push it into mscripten. And that's what's happening down here. Set files, like this goes into here, into emcc. So that stuff here goes into mscripten. So that's the same file that was mentioned here, right? Because the Raylib stuff needs to go through mscripten. And in order for that to work properly then, because the Odin code still needs to bind to Raylib. So this stuff here is like, okay, which lib file is it that we are supposed to link to for the Odin code in order to find, all the procedures like these inside Raylib. It needs to know where to look for that. So what it does then is that, then I think this is our WebAssembly thing, that in WebAssembly, all the stuff that's compiled together to be sort of like, these are the this is all the sort of the compiled object file with all the symbols in it and all the things that are part of your WebAssembly thing. All those go into something called env.o, which is an object file called env. But that seems to be the standard in WebAssembly. So you can actually, I send in here env.o as the Raylib wasimlib, right? And that then goes here into this thing, and it goes here. So this one actually links again env.o, imports that library. And that one contains all the Raylib things, because when the linker is involved down here somewhere, I think it happens part of emcc sometime. It's probably the wasm ld or something that's used. When that happens, then it will try to resolve those things, and then it will do it for the Odin code. It will actually use this thing to look, because the Raylib things have come into that env.o via going into emcc that has been fed the Raylib lib. So it's a bit of a funny circus, but that's if you wonder, like, this was added. I put a PR that added this just so, because the Odin repository doesn't want mscripten hacks inside the repo, and I can understand that you don't want like mscripten specific stuff. So I just added this, but honestly it could just say like this as well, because Raylib doesn't work without mscripten anyways. So this is the only, like, if you're using Raylib with wasm32, then this is the only thing that could possibly be used here, unless I'm wrong. Anyways, so that's how it sort of blobs everything together. There are some more interesting things here about the web build. I have web init here, and what you can see, so since we're compiling with freestanding, freestanding means no operating system. It doesn't know what OS it is. If it doesn't know what OS it is, it will have no way to set up allocators. It doesn't know how to allocate memory. Nothing of that will work. Well, it's just the allocator is like if you try to use it, if you compile with freestanding and try to use the default context of the allocator, if you try to use that, then you will use crash or return not implemented or something like that. So what I do here is that I set up when the web init starts here, I set up the default context from Odin because it's a C proc, so I don't have a context at all. And then I set the allocator to my mscripten allocator, which is a little allocator that I made for this project. Because, like I said, mscripten sort of injects a fake libc layer, so you have access to malloc 3 and all those C procedures, right? So I just set a foreign block here. And I set this foreign block here where I say, oh, I want malloc, and that this symbol will be matched up to, like when it links, it will look for the symbol, and it will actually come from mscripten, because it's mscripten that sort of is providing these in the case of this web build. So mscripten allocator is just, I've copied some stuff from the heap allocator in the Odin code, but so it does all the sort of correct alignment and stuff. So the alignment is needed so that stuff that requires alignment, like maps and stuff, so they work. So that's what this is, just copied from the heap allocator. So done all that. And but in the end, it actually just uses, look, malloc, and here is calloc because it wants it zeroed. And then the free, aligned free is just a free here, and then there's a realloc, I think, also somewhere. Yeah, here's a realloc call. So it just uses it just implements the whole allocator using mscript and libc malloc stuff. And then there's also no temp allocator by default, so I just set that up here. It's just a simple, it just uses the arena stuff in runtime, but feeds it. It's just copied from there essentially. It's just a tiny wrapper around that. And then there's a logger, and this one came from the person, Aronico, I think the person is called Aronico, that implemented some of this stuff, which is essentially copied from the Odin Odin console logger, I think, or file logger. This stuff, but it actually again writes to mscripten by using puts, which is a way to write just a buffer of, or a string, and mscripten picks that up and puts it in the console of the web browser. So this stuff here is just essentially copied from the core library, but in the end it uses puts here to do that. So then you have allocator, temp allocator, and logger that works in web. That's just that little extra stuff I had to do because it's freestanding. However, there's some other things that don't work in freestanding. You don't have of course the core OS package doesn't work. That's most of core OS doesn't work in if you use the real. There's another target called. There's another card called JS WASM32, so I'm using freestanding WASM32. In this one, you have slightly more working, but most of core OS still doesn't work because it's a web browser. It doesn't really know what files are. However, mscripten implements what mscripten does is that it takes. You can preload a folder of things, and then if you call open to get a file handle, then that libc in mscripten will actually go in there and pretend there's a file system there and open stuff. So because of that, the because of that, I can actually, in my game here, I think I showed that here, this is funny, here it looks like I'm using core OS read entire file, but I've actually implemented a tiny wrapper of OS up here. It's just import OS, and that's just, again, me doing things to support web. So it's os.web is just this. os.odin implements, just read it and write entire file, because those were the only two I needed from OS. And it just does the sort of, this is copied from Raylib actually, the style of it, but it just uses libc stuff to open a file. And it even actually supports writing to it. I think what the mscripten thing does is that it has a little virtual file system and writes the data into that thing. So you can write the file and then read it again back later. But if you close the tab, of course, it's all gone. But yeah, so that's why there is a os.read entire file here that works on web, because it's actually not, it's not importing core OS. Yeah. Oh, wow, my keyboard is going crazy. Yeah, Rage changed window should close 3 hours ago. That's correct. That stuff is not in Odin yet, won't be for months probably, because Odin uses the latest release, and Ray doesn't put out releases of Raylib that often. Even when he puts out the release, this fix will still be good, because window should close doesn't do anything on web. So this will still work. It just, I think the lagginess will disappear from like maybe some of the Raylib examples on the web, and if I hadn't done this, then it would disappear as well. But it's just good to not run that stuff anyways. So that's that. That's our little Raylib wasm mscripten funny stuff. One thing I've been thinking about, that I've been toying at, is actually it should be possible to do this. I've gotten quite far with doing that, so that you don't have a free, so you have a real JS, because what the JS thing does is that there comes an odin.js file with the Odin compiler, and that one implements like what should the different things in Odin do when they run inside a web browser. I haven't gotten the allocators to work when I did that, because I think there's a conflict between because you still need to run through mscripten, because Raylib needs that. But you can use, for example, I think you should be able to use the time libraries. So you have like time, I don't have any, time.now. So to do like, because those things don't work in freestanding, because it doesn't have an OS to ask time about. So I could do that also, but I've gotten quite far with doing that. But I think that will have to wait for another day. Maybe I'll do another stream. I'll try to do a little bit more small streams, I think, rather than just a bit more often. So I think I'll do another stream where we try to get freestanding to become JS, like this, in both the hotload template and the Odin Raylib web template. I have most of it ready for how to do it. I'm just not sure if it all will work out in the end, or if it's a great idea. You need to do some additional setup, but we'll see. I think it might be good to avoid the freestanding stuff, because more of core will be usable then. The allocator still don't seem to work, but more of core. But I still have my mscripten there, because you still have mscripten, because you can that's still there. It's just you have some additional JS stuff. Okay. That's that for this little funny stream of fixing my performance issues. if you want to learn more about Odin, then you can buy my book at odinbook.com. This book here, there's a free sample you can click here to read. It looks like this. You can see if you like how it's laid out and how it reads. And yeah, if you want to learn Odin or like learn the intricacies of low-level programming and stuff like that. I will do a stream tomorrow or Thursday or Friday or whatever day it is. It's the Monday today. Well, I will do it someday. Until then, bye-bye, happy programming, see you.